Hi guys, it's Nat here. Hope you're all doing well. I'm on for my first tutorial with the goodies that I got from Pandahall this time round. So the links to Pandahall and the individual products I'll be using will be down below if you want to check them out. So if you can't tell already, I want to do some gel printing today. So I've moved everything out into the kitchen. And I tell you, I'm tired already just after doing that. So it's going to be a long day. So I'll show you firstly the products that I will be using. So I got this bag of kids sort of mark makers for painting. So a painting kit that's sort of aimed at kids. But when I saw it, I thought it'd be heaps of fun to make some patterns on the gel plate with these and have a go. I'm a real beginner at jelly printing. So I thought these would be fun to use. So we'll have a go with those. I also got a few packs of stencils. So there's a pack of 12 stencils here of the smaller squares. And then I got these two large sort of 12 by 12 stencils as well. So I want to have a play with those. I have my big gel plate here, which is your Dilutions Ranger. This one is huge. It's 9 by 11 inch, something like that. 228.6 millimeters by 279.4 millimeters. And I've also got a small ATC sized one. This is from Gel Press. So I'm giving those a go as well. I've got some contact paper down here. I can always spread and mix paint on that if I want to. I've put a drop sheet down on my kitchen bench because I wiped it all down beforehand and I don't want to have to do too much cleaning up afterwards. I've got a bag of kitchen sponges and other sponges that I might use. I dragged out a pile of my acrylic paints, or all of my big tubes of acrylic paints, which is a pile. I have got wet wipes. I've got a whole lot of scrap paper to use to print on. I have some brayers. I also have this sort of like a wool roller, a paint roller. I might try that for helping me press it down when I want to pull the prints. Now, is that it? Oh yeah, and of course I've got my filming equipment, which took forever to hook up. Okay, so I think we will get started. So I'm starting here with the mark making tools that I got in that big kit. I've never used these sorts of things before, so it ought to be a bit of fun. I have no idea what I'm meant to do with them either, so I start just splotching this one down. Really like the pattern it's making. I do use scrap paper to pull some of the paint off of my little gel plate there. Cleans it off so I can add my next colour. I've got this flower sort of, or sunshine shaped one, and I'm pressing that on. I just find that the tips of it lift a bit, so I just press them down with my fingers. So I've got to let what is on my big gel plate there dry for a little bit, and then I'm adding a coat of paint over the top. Just have to go careful at the start to get it spreading out a bit so I don't ruin what I've done underneath. And of course I lay my top paper on. I just use that roller there to press it down nicely and pull it off. And I really like the way that turned out. So now I'm adding a full coat of paint. I'm using two different colours to my big gel plate there. And I want to make some marks in that coat of paint this time. And so I just splodged this one down and I thought, it doesn't really look like much. So I start spinning it and it does like a rose pattern, which I really, really like. And so with the other one, I just spin it around. And then I let it dry and add my top layer of paint. Two different colours again. I think I've got a brown and a green, or a grey and a green there. Looks like a grey and a green. Again, I really like the patterns that I'm getting with those mark making tools. I think I'll do a lot with them in the future. So now I'm using the foam rollers that came in the set as well. So it's very subtle, the print on there, but that's because I've got such a thin lot of paint on my little gel plate there. Adding the two different colours again. So much fun doing this. I've only done a big lot like this once before. So I've got some beautiful bright blue now. Again, I'm putting it down and using the roller to put the imprint in this time. And going over the top with some pink paint. So I always let it dry a bit after the first layer, and then put the wet layer on to put the paper in to lift the print. It's a bit splotchy, that one, but I actually really liked how it came out. So now I'm using one of the different patterned rollers, just doing the lines with the white paint. Let that dry, and then over the top with some blue. A lot of my paints are different consistencies because they're different brands and that. So I did sit down afterwards and sort them out into their brands, so I know that certain ones are going to be the same sort of consistency. I love that. Real subtle with the lines, but I really love how they turn out. I think that's a different roller, and I'm just cross-hatching it. Some yellow on the top. Then I'm just pulling up some of the leftover with my scrap papers, just adding to the ones that I've been cleaning my roller off on. And then I'm using these other mark making tools that have the sort of firmer foam on them. I figured if you sort of push them down in the middle, you get a nice pattern, and I love the chevron one. That is awesome. I'm not sure what I'm meant to be doing with all these bits and pieces, but I tried just dabbing them down, and then I tried just pulling them across a bit. And of course you get different sort of patterns doing it the different ways. I suppose you can just use them however you like. So now I'm changing to a yellow paint. It's still my purple on there, so it's mixed in, but I like that rather than it being the bright yellow. Going over the top with some pale green. This turned out to be one of my favourite prints, this one. Now, when I pull the prints, you don't see them all that well, but I do show you all of them at the end of the video. Yeah, love how that one turned out. didn't have time to have a lot of a play with all the different bits and pieces. I just wanted to use them all sort of once to show you. So now I've put down some paint, and then I've put down one of the small stencils from the set of 12, and I put a piece of paper over the top and rub over it and pull it up, and then you get the pattern of the stencil on that piece of paper. Then I'm leaving the stencil down and just using the sponge to sponge some green paint in the little leaf shapes. And then if you pull that off, you've got the green in between the negative of the stencil there. So I'm putting some brown over the top to pull it. This doesn't turn out too well. I think I've got to practice this technique a bit more. I think I should have used a different colour other than the brown to pull the print. And I probably could have cleaned out the leaves a bit more with the wet wipe to get a clearer print as well. But so putting a couple of colours down now. I think it's a brown and a reddish or maroon colour. Another one of my leaf stencils. Pulling the first print. Then wiping out, and then pull the stencil up, and you're left with the negative shape there. Let that dry and do the top colour. It's funny because you never know what to expect when you pull them up. Well, I don't, because I'm not very experienced. Now, this is one of the sheets where I've just been cleaning off my brayer. I decided to roll over this stencil with my yellow paint to add some nice texture to this scrap piece. The brayer didn't get it in between the stencil very well, so I thought I'd go in with my sponge and do a few bits. So once you've done your basic prints, you can always go over them with stamping and stenciling. So now I'm putting this rose stencil down and doing the initial pull. The stencils are gorgeous and they're so much fun to use, and that one turned out awesome. That was one that I printed on with some black beforehand. And then I added the rose pattern over the top. So now we've got the negative of the rose pattern still on the gel plate, which has dried. Got this fluoro yellow. I thought I'd do something a bit retro. Have a chevron stencil, so I thought I'd have a go with that on the fluoro yellow. And then I'm going over the top with this fluoro pink. So there's one I've done before that I'm not 100% happy with, so I thought I would add a stencil to the top of it. So you can always build up layers and add things afterwards. Use them in so many different ways, the sheets that you print. So if you're not 100% happy with the outcome, you can always change it up. So now I've got that wave stencil, I love that, and I thought I'd go in with a cream base and just apply that to one of my sheets so it's not solid white. And then I put the wave stencil on top of the blue paint and used the cream-based paper that we just did to lift off the shape of the stencil, and I love the way that turned out. Now I'm putting some of my pale pink over the top of the blue. Go on in with some brown now. Just adding that to the paper. These would have turned out really nice, I think, if I used some maybe different colours, and the type of paint isn't the best as well. Also, I've got to try practicing with some watercolour papers. This is a very fun geometric stencil. I love the printout that that gives. So now I want to try my big 12 by 12 stencils that I got. And I decided to do 3 different shades of blue here. It looks so messy, but then when you put the stencil on, you can see how beautiful the colours are. So just pulling the initial print. I was surprised at how well these turned out. Because they're quite fine stencils, I didn't think I'd be able to press them down and get that pattern in between, but these were some of my favourites for the day. Beautiful. So now I'm trying my other 12 by 12 stencil. Got 3 different colours there. Just trying not to mix them all in together completely. Again, it looks like a mess till you put the stencil over the top, and I love the way it looks. So I think I need to learn more about what colours to put down as a secondary colour to pull the print to be able to see the top effectively. So that was a big afternoon doing all of that, but it was heaps of fun as well. I learnt a lot, absolutely loved using all of those products. Going to have to experiment with them a lot more. As I said, I'm no expert at this, I haven't done it a lot, but I was a lot happier with today's results than last time I tried doing a pile of pages like this. So we will go through and have a look at them all. I did edit a lot to make the video not so long of what I did and just showed you some of the better ones I made and that, but we will look at all of the bits and pieces quickly here. So we'll go through, have a look. First on top I have my scrap pieces where I just cleaned my brayer and the plates and that. So these are great for collage backgrounds, or I can add more stenciling to them in the future so they won't get wasted. And as you can see, I use some Coles bags, some shopping bags, the paper on them just to clean some bits off with. Then we'll start with the stenciled ones that I did. So it's really cool. So these were the small set of 12 stencils that I was using for these. So heaps of cool patterns. There's some more of my scrap cleaning off sheets. Love the texture you get when you're using your jelly plate. That's a cleaning off one. So they'll be fun to use. There's another stencil one. Didn't quite work out the way I was hoping. I know that different paints are very different. How thick you put them, it all makes a bit of a difference. That's where I need a bit more practice in that. That one, I actually quite like that one. You can see the colour in the background nicely. That's another one of the smaller stencils. I think that was the second pull of that one maybe. You can only just see it. But you can always go over these. You can doodle around the stencil patterns, stick pictures on them, whatever you want. They make beautiful backgrounds. So one of these was, I think that was the first pull or something, and that was the second one. Quite like that. It's got the stencil that was left over from the one I used prior to this one here. It's quite crisp. That one turned out really nice for water. It's a bit bright. Retro. That one was a mess, so I tried another stencil over the top and it made more of a mess. So, but a lot of these, if I don't like them, I'll rip them up and use them in pieces in collages, and that will be great. Nice texture. I quite like this one actually. I'm learning that it actually works well if you've got a mix of colours sometimes rather than just the two sort of main colours. Yeah, I like the colours in that one. And the type of paint just makes such a difference. A lot of my paints are from second-hand shops, so not all the same range or whatever, so that does make a difference in the texture and the thickness and everything. But yeah, that one's pretty. There's the rose pattern. I love that stencil. That one's not too good. The stencil's great. It's my use of it that didn't work out very well there. There's the love heart pattern again. The bit come off of the paint bottle, the old paint, and stuck to it. It's a bit different. Might doodle around the hearts on that one. There's the rose pattern again. There's some leaves on that one. So yeah, not 100% happy with some of them, but others are really cool. So this was the foam, the kitty foam sort of stamps. I worked out that they just weren't really firm enough to use the way I wanted to on the jelly plate, so I gave up on them. Very fun though otherwise, but not for this project. What I really, really loved the most was the mark making tools. They turned out to be so cool. Really love this chevron one, But I used, I think it was 4 different mark making tools on this piece, and I love that. That turned out really cool. I reckon this was one of the rollers that I used, one of the foam rollers. I really like the texture actually and the colours that I've got into that one. So you loved the rollers and the mark making tools, they were fun. Definitely the types of paint make a big difference. That's really cool. Colours on that are nice. Sometimes I got lines from my brayer, but that was at the beginning, and they were mark making tools in the background there too, which you can see better here. They look like roses. So that one's really cool. Might have been another one of the rollers. I think I went both ways with the roller there because I can see it going across that way. Love this too, really love this tool that I used. That makes a fun pattern. So when I've got time, I'd like to just experiment with 1 or 2 of the tools and do a whole heap. I just wanted to try a bit of everything today. I think that's a background piece I did, but I liked it so much I didn't want to put anything on the top of it. It's another one of the smaller stencils. I really like that one. That came out really nice and clear in there as well. And then we went to the big 12 by 12 stencils. These are so pretty. And then I remembered to do some different colours of paint down. So it's not just the solid colour, and that turns out so nice when you do that. So I love the way these turned out. And then I've got the second pull that I did with those. So that was piles and piles of fun. I've got heaps of collage fodder there and pages for journals and make tags and that with them. So that was great. I'll have to do some more in the future. So when I finished doing all of that, I had my sink full of warm soapy water, and I just chucked all of the tools and the stencils straight in there, and in between doing these I washed them out and gave them a rinse, and they're all drying in my dish rack. So massive thank you to Pandahall for the awesome product. There is a code, and if you use that upon checkout, you can get 10% off of your first order with Pandahall. All the links to Pandahall's shop and the individual products that I've been using for this tutorial and my next one are down below also. Thank you so much for coming along and watching me make a mess with all of these papers, and I will see you again soon. Bye.